Hey, was that the sun I saw yesterday? I think that was the sun I saw yesterday. I saw the sun for about 3 seconds, and then I heard, and it was my neighbor starting their lawnmower. I was like, I should probably do that too, and I did not. Phillies didn't play. I kind of had an off day yesterday with no postcast after of course, this show, and I just enjoyed the day. Little golf today, right? A little thunderstorm probably in the middle of that. Hopefully skirt my way around a downed tree on Lincoln Drive from what I understand. And then I'll be on my merry way to enjoy the weekend and hopefully a fine Phillies sweep of the Pirates. We'll cross our fingers for that. Welcome into the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. And, oh, man, it is wonderful to have you along for the ride. I have always been a fan of Rich Eisen. I think I actually blanked on his name last week, but I promise you this. I've always been a fan of Rich Eisen. And I can remember, being a kid, waiting for the school bus and munching down on my Cookie Crisp or my Count Chocula or Lucky Charms, whatever was the flavor of the week that week for me, and watching Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen, or watching Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick, who I got to know a little bit, actually, in my career. Awesome dude. And just enjoy Sports Center for what it used to be, Not today, where it's like 3 stories. But I've always enjoyed Rich Eisen. He was great with Stuart Scott on Sports Center, and I've really enjoyed him on the NFL Network. And even Stuart Scott, when he passed away, Rich Eisen tribute, doing all the catchphrases of Stuart Scott, was a thing of brilliance. I'm thrilled that he's going to go back to ESPN, as ESPN is actually set to acquire NFL Network, or at least try to get that done. But Rich Eisen yesterday, I was just kind of going around looking at people's different takes, seeing if I was missing anything. And I saw Rich Eisen come up there, and I went, all right, let me hear what Rich had to say about this. So I listened to him, and I think he absolutely nailed it. The words I used yesterday, we kind of said the same thing, but we used different words. And if I had to do all over it again, I would have used Rich Eisen's words, because, again, I just really felt that he nailed it. I said the toughest part of the 2025 season for the Eagles is going to be the schedule. The way he put it was the biggest threat to the 2025 Eagles repeating as Super Bowl champions is the schedule. That's it. The schedule. Now, a lot of people might jump to health, okay? Injuries. You got to stay healthy, right? That's obvious. That's every team. So let's just push that out of the way for a second, all right? The number one threat after looking at this schedule, the way it's constructed, look, we knew the opponents, but the number one threat is the way this schedule is organized. We'll go through it as the show goes on, especially something that I found very interesting for the other 4 teams that are top 4 in toughest schedule. What they have that the Eagles do not. We'll talk about that. The other thing that we're going to get into today is, once again, the Flyers are today. I thought it was yesterday. It's today. One thing you can never trust about a morning person doing a morning show or a live taping here of the podcast is when they watch something the morning of their own show and they say tomorrow. Often I think it's from last night. So I think it's today. Anyway, Rick Tocchet gets introduced at 10:30 today to be the next head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. If you've missed my overall take on this, I am in great support of this move. I think this is a great hire. I think it's a fantastic fit, and I am excited about the Rick Tocchet era, and I don't give a damn that he has played for the Flyers. I don't give a damn that he's got his name and number, and he's in the Hall of Fame of the Flyers. I don't care. I think he's the right man for the job. It's simple as that. We'll get into that more in a second. But today he gets introduced. What you want to hear from him? There's one thing in particular that I really want to hear from Rick Tocchet during his press conference today, and I would be almost certain that we are going to hear it today. The Philadelphia Phillies, as I mentioned, had the off day yesterday. They had the Aaron Nola Poker Tournament charity event yesterday. Good for Aaron Nola, supporting a great cause. Veterans. So that's great. The Phillies do have a weekend series starting with Ranger Suarez on the mound against the Pittsburgh Pirates starting tonight, 6:45. I will be on with you guys on the postcast for that, so I look forward to it. I look forward to the Phillies bouncing back from losing their first series in 6. They'd won 5 in a row. They dropped the one, of course. Did not go well against St. Louis Cardinals. Aaron Nola looked terrible in that final game. I'm watching and following this all throughout the year, and the theme of the Philadelphia Phillies is a theme that we know all too well. And the way I've explained it in the past is the way I'm going to continue to explain it, which is we've seen the show before. We've seen the play. We're in act 4 of the same play is how it feels watching the Phillies. There's a couple of things that make me comforted is the word I'll use when it comes to this Phillies squad and how it might be different. How it might be different as this season goes on, and how you do want to continue to compete for your own division. But really, all that matters is getting into the playoffs, playing your best brand of baseball. Phillies certainly did not do that last year. That was something that absolutely fizzled out as the season went on, that we all know. But why we can have a little bit more hope maybe in this Phillies team as the season goes on. We'll get into that as they, again, get back from their day off yesterday. But let's start it off with this opinion from Rich Eisen. Now, he sets this up. The biggest threat to the 2025 Eagles is the schedule. Wholeheartedly agree. And threat is the perfect word for it. And what he did so beautifully, especially for not being a Philly guy, a Philly media guy, is that he laid out over the last 3 Super Bowl appearances now what has been the Eagles' biggest threat to repeating. And in 2017, and he also said this, every year you talk about the Super Bowl champions, whether it be the Eagles, which has now been twice, whether it be the Kansas City Chiefs, whoever it might be, can they run it back? Can they win it again? Can they repeat as champions? Just as the Kansas City Chiefs, can they three-peat as champions? So the question is always, can they do it again? When you keep your offense together, with the exception of your right guard, people tend to think, oh, yeah, they got a really good chance. When you got Saquon Barkley doing what he did last year, and then he's still here with this offensive line, yeah, there's a pretty good chance that Philadelphia Eagles still right now the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl in the upcoming season, so that makes you feel pretty damn good. But he laid it out. I said in 2017, the threat to the Eagles repeating was basically you're going to be going back to Carson Wentz as your quarterback if he was going to be healthy. Can Nick Foles help capture lightning in a bottle again? They go back to the playoffs, and unfortunately, things fizzle out. The ball goes through the hands of Alshon Jeffrey in the Big Easy. Then he talks about the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl in 2022. And the biggest threat to them, at least going back to the Super Bowl, for the biggest threat to them winning the NFC was losing both coordinators in Steichen and Gannon. Can you overcome that? Look, Brian Johnson got elevated to the offensive coordinator position that year. Now, the only reason I bring this up now is because you don't want to repeat the same mistake now that you have a different offensive coordinator again in Kevin Patullo after Kellen Moore left. So do you have the right guys in place now? Defensive side of football, I think we all feel pretty good about Vic Fangio, right? Offensive side of the football, all right, what's Kevin Patullo doing to put his fingerprints on this offense? Don't mess it up, son. And I still have the burning question, why didn't he hire Kevin Patullo 2 or 3 years ago when he had the opportunity to do it? Why instead 2 years ago? Why didn't you go to Kevin Patullo instead of Brian Johnson? Now, in the years that have passed, I think Brian Johnson got a little too much of the heat in the moments. But as we later find out that Nick Sirianni had his fingerprints on it more so than we had anticipated. But the biggest threat, to get back to it, was the fact that the Eagles were bringing in 2 new coordinators. And how is that going to go? Oh, it went terrible. On the defensive side of things, Sean Desai, as much as he was a great talker, as much as he said all the right things, they chose, after they got blown out by the San Francisco 49ers at home in the game, Greenlaw and Big Dom got into it. They made the change. Officially official. He would no longer be the Eagles' defensive play caller, and that would go to Matt Patricia. So, yeah, was that the biggest threat to the Eagles potentially making it back to a Super Bowl in 2022, 2023? Yep, pretty much. And all throughout the year, it really looked like that. I mean, just watching the Eagles throughout the year, they were not able to really put away teams. As I mentioned, the Eagles have this ability, and last year they had the ability as well, to win games by more than 10 points, to show that you could control games down to the wire. See the ball into the mitt, so to speak. They didn't have that ability after they went to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and lost both coordinators. They were just squeaking out wins, finding ways to win. The number one takeaway I had from that season was that you can't say for an entire season, well, they found a way to win, so they're okay. No. If you're always just scratching and clawing and finding ways to win, you're not that good. A lot of times you're having a lot of luck on your side. It can't be a theme. Well, they found a way to win. That can work for a little while. You can go through a little low point. Oh, they found a way to win. But that's good. But when it's a season of it, that's not good. That's bad. That's very bad. It makes you feel like the impending doom is out there looming, just as it was when they went 1-6 in their last 7 games, including the playoffs. Oh, gross. So you hope that that's not looming for this year either. So then you get to this season. If in 2022, the biggest threat was losing both coordinators, or 2023, I should say, was losing both coordinators, what's the biggest threat this year? It is the schedule. And it's a thing I'm not used to, folks. I'll put it up again. I look at the schedule, and my takeaway from it yesterday was that I look at this schedule, I don't see anybody that is better than the Eagles. I can't remember the last time I looked at the schedule and I went, oh, no, the Eagles are better than them, better than them, better than them. Ooh, I'm worried about that one. No, the only thing I'm worried about, the only thing that gives me pause is looking at this schedule and saying, damn, no, look, we know the opponents as far as you're playing your division. We knew that. We knew, taking on, the Rams. We knew taking on the Lions. We knew taking on the Chargers, for instance. Like, we knew all the opponents as far as that goes. But as far as the way this is constructed and organized, hot damn, son. Yes, this is the biggest threat. And I was reminded, to get into the specifics, let me get into the specifics there. Okay, so you look at the other teams that have the toughest strength of schedule. So you look at Detroit, look at Chicago, you look at the Giants. Eagles have the 4th hardest schedule, okay? Detroit has 3 straight home games at one point in the season. I think it's weeks 12, 13, and 14. They're home. That goes over Thanksgiving. So there you go. The Bears have back-to-back home games. Okay. The Giants have back-to-back home games, at least on their schedule. The Eagles are the only ones in the top 4 that do not have back-to-back home games this season. This means you're on the go always. I mean, if you've even just if you've traveled like in your life, not to play NFL games in a different city or anything like that. Like there's a rule of thumb that I have when it comes to the daily travel, and I always tell people this rule. And whenever I travel anywhere, especially abroad, I always practice this rule. If I put my suitcase down in a hotel, Airbnb, whatever, I put it down, my thought process is I'm never picking that up tomorrow. Okay? I'm never picking it up tomorrow. Meaning, I'm never staying one night in a place. If you're traveling abroad, then I'm working. Then I'm always on the go. If I can put my suitcase down with the idea I leave in 2 days at least, oh, man, that is so much more relaxing. Same thing in the NFL, same thing in sports. You want to be able to at least have back-to-back games at home at some point in the season so you don't always feel like you're on the go. And that's exactly what the Eagles are doing here. This is what the NFL has given the Eagles. Always on the go. We talked about it a lot at the end of last year. Didn't have to get on a plane for the last month of the season. That's pretty damn nice. All they had to worry about was a bus ride. That's pretty great. So, yeah, you look at this, and, again, you know the guys that you're facing. You knew it going into it, but the way it's constructed, I was reminded of the line from one of the best Hard Knocks ever, and that was the Rex Ryan Hard Knocks with the Jets when they were going to AFC Championship games. And he was like, last year we snuck up on a lot of people. He's telling everybody this is training camp. Last year we snuck up on a lot of people, and we made it to the AFC Championship game. Well, this year, bleep that. We're not going to be sneaking up on anybody. You know you're the best. when everybody looks at you and says, we're going to give them our best because we know that they're the top in the conference. We're not sneaking up on anybody this year. They know how good we are. Well, the Eagles, they're not sneaking up on anybody either, and they're right out of the gate here. You got a division rival who's going to have their healthy quarterback playing in Dak Prescott. Look, the Eagles still, again, I see as the better team. But right out of the gate, hey, Dallas Cowboys. Oh, then a Super Bowl rematch? Cool. Oh, and then a team that came the closest to beating you in the playoffs in the Rams? Great. Oh, then you're playing in Tampa, a place where your quarterback has struggled? Wonderful. They're playing Tampa in week 4 for the second straight year. It's bonkers. And you know, that Tampa game last year, that was the low point of the season, people. It is wild. I have never looked at the schedule as, ooh. Now, to maintain, I'm not flip-flopping, to maintain my point from yesterday, I'm not making excuses here for the Eagles. I still look at that schedule, and I still see the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl. The road ahead is not going to be as easy. Like, I'll put it to you like this again. I don't see the Eagles with another 10-game winning streak. And that's why when you start having questions about, can they repeat? Can they do what they did last year? Well, I'll put it to you like this. Yes, they can absolutely win the Super Bowl again. But can they do what they did last year? When you talk about a schedule that featured a 10-game winning streak, that might be a little difficult. I mean, it is rough all around. The only thing I like about this schedule is the bye week. That's the only thing. It was almost as if, and look, even wrapping around your bye week, it's not even home games. It's you host the Giants, and then you go to Green Bay. They get an extra day after their bye week. It's a Monday. So there you go. Take that away from it, I guess. No, I don't think so. It is a horrible schedule for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm saying it again. This is not an excuse to look at the Eagles and say, they could, can they do what they did last year? I don't see a 10-game winning streak. And right now, I don't see a 14-3 record. I don't see it this year for the Eagles. There's going to be games that they drop. There's going to be games where the passing game, like on the schedule, I don't see a Carolina Panthers game, where they play terrible throughout, but they find a way to win, that kind of thing. I don't see that happening. And I also don't see a game even coming down to the wire against the Washington Commanders, for instance, where you can have any backup quarterback in and then have I'm not calling Smitty out by any means, but it's just the play that comes to mind. When you talk about close games that you just lost, well, I don't see being able to escape a game where you could have a catch or a ball be dropped that would have iced the game by Devontae Smith against the Commanders. Those little crucial moments at the end of the game where they either didn't go your way or they just barely went your way. This schedule really doesn't allow a lot of those moments. And the good news is that you feel pretty confident that your team can win any of these games. On paper, you feel like this team could have a historic season yet again. But that's just not the way it goes. It doesn't always break your way. And this schedule, another word for it, other than biggest threat to the Philadelphia Eagles, this schedule is unrelenting. Unrelenting is the word that comes to mind. So looking at it one more time. And by the way, we got an Eagle Squad podcast coming to you today. Jason Martinez, me, Harry Mays got you coming up actually at 8:30. We're going to jump on and do a show a little bit earlier than that, actually. Jason has to get down there. We're going to do it a little later in the day, but Jason's got to get down there for the Flyers press conference. As you know, Jason Martinez all on the Flyers, man, in the organization. But yeah, this schedule, unrelenting is the word that certainly comes to it. The game that I have circled that I know a lot of people don't is that December 8th game at the Chargers, just because I want to see Justin Herbert terrible and I want to see Jalen Hurts look awesome. Because I know there's going to be the lists that come out between now and into training camp about the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I know Jalen's going to get slighted yet again. So that's something I'll be looking forward to is that December 8th game against the Chargers where the Eagles just dominate. That's what I'll be hoping for. So if we have identified the schedule, and tell me if you agree or disagree, because the only other threat to that threat being the biggest threat, or the only other concern, I should say, about the upcoming season, other than the schedule being unrelenting, and as unrelenting as it is, the only other threat that I see is not even Kevin Patullo. It's the rookies. How much can this draft class step up and help the 2025 Eagles? Because as of right now, with Justin Simmons yet to sign a contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, which I just identify as pending, okay? But as of right now, you are depending on most likely a rookie safety. You are depending on most likely a rookie defensive tackle to step up and take a big role in Ty Robinson, who signed his rookie deal yesterday. And you're also looking at a guy like Jahad Campbell to step up and take a big role in this defense as well, especially if Nakobe Dean isn't healthy and ready to go. Those are some big asks. Then you also talk about some of the newcomers. I've mentioned Azeez Ojulari a lot. I've mentioned Josh Uche a lot. Like, these are all guys that you need to step up and take big roles and have an impact on this defense. Can those younger guys step forward? Offensively, shipshape. Fantastic. No worries, no concerns. Right guard, yeah, I feel all Eagles fans feel as I do, which is cocky as hell, that no matter. This is the one thing where I would look at any opposing Eagles fan, any like Commanders fan, Cowboys fan, Giants, whatever. Look at the Chiefs. Look at the Eagles and be like, well, your right guard's going to suck, and you guys are just overconfident that no matter what, you can plug and play a guy who's going to be great. And it's like, yeah, that actually sums up how I feel rather well. Yep, nailed it. That's how I feel. I feel great about whoever's going to be in the right guard spot. But defensively speaking is the spot that I look at and I go, all right, or the side of the ball that I look at and go, okay, well, yeah, this is the biggest threat here. Other than the schedule, if you're talking about something on the team, yeah, then the biggest threat to the Eagles repeating is whether or not the rookies are ready to rumble. That's the biggest threat. Can Ty Robinson fill the shoes of Milton Williams? I mean, we've talked about these questions a million times already since the offseason, but really that's the question. Since the draft, especially, now that we know the names, whoever is going to be the guy to step up. Moro Ojomo, ready to take that step forward as well. Jalix Hunt, ready to take that step forward. Hell, if it's not Drew Makuba and it's not Justin Simmons, is it Sidney Brown? Is he ready to party? Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, are these guys ready to step up for this defense? Because Keely Ringo had some opportunities last year and it didn't work out so great. Adoree Jackson, proven commodity, seasoned veteran. You know, can he continue a decent career, a solid career in the NFL? The questions are all on the defensive side of the football, but because of those questions, that makes the defensive side of things a pretty big threat, considering who you're depending on. So then that goes to the feet of Vic Fangio. And similar to how we might feel about the right guard position on the offensive line, is it too broad to paint with a brush to say, oh, well, it's defense, Vic Fangio's got it? Because as great as Vic Fangio might be, especially when it comes to evaluating talent, and it's hard to argue against the guy after what he did with Zach Bond last year. And you think about that all working out, not just Zach Bond, but think about how this transpired with Howie Roseman kind of, I will say, being on the same island as Vic Fangio and looking at Zach Bond as somebody that could help this team. And Howie Roseman's on the north side of the island, Vic Fangio's on the south side of the island. And they're just like, yeah, well, I got him here. I brought the horse to water. Can I make him drink? And that's what Vic Fangio did with, he's like, I don't know what to do with this guy, but I think he's thirsty. And Vic Fangio's always totally thirsty. Give him some water. And there he goes, drinking away. That was Zach Bond and Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman bringing Zach Bond to Vic Fangio, and Fangio would be like, oh, yeah, no, he's got it. I know exactly what to do with this. Thank you. Like, that's being on the same page. You bring rookies that you brought in here. That's not happening without Vic Fangio going, oh, yeah, no, we could use this. We could use him. You don't bring in the free agents here without Vic Fangio going, oh, yeah, no, he fits. This will work. It doesn't happen. I mean, I even go back to Quentin Mitchell talking about the complexities. He's being asked about the complexities of the Vic Fangio scheme. And he's like, well, yeah, but we did a lot of this at Toledo. And it's like, yeah. Guess who was absolutely 100% in on taking Quentin Mitchell? Vic Fangio was. So if you're talking about the biggest threats to the Eagles' upcoming season, let's just get this out of the way as something that I don't even like acknowledging because it's every team, but I know people need to hear this. For the people that need to hear this. Injuries, health, all that stuff. Yes, absolutely. That's every team. But if you get down to it, the biggest threats to the Eagles repeating has everything to do with this schedule as number one. And then number two, it's whether or not these rookies can step up. It's whether or not the new guys can step up and fill the void left behind by the many players that left that defense. The other thing on top of that is I think about a void being left behind. I don't even think of Josh Sweat as a void. Like, I still want the Eagles to replace the void left behind with Hassan Reddick no longer being here. And we're a year removed from that now. That's what I'm looking at Jahad Campbell for. That's what I want to see him do. Be able to get after the quarterback. Yeah, sure, drop back in coverage, play off-ball linebacker, edge rusher, all that stuff. But I'd love to see him just be a man possessed. And for a defense that doesn't like the blitz, maybe dial up a few for that young fella. That's what I'm waiting for the Eagles. So those are what I look at as the biggest threats to the Eagles repeating in the upcoming season. What do you have? Let me know in the comment section, of course. Let me jump to Rick Tocchet here. 10:30 today, he gets introduced as the 25th captain or 25th head coach for the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't care that his blood is orange and black. I don't care about that. I know a lot of people do because it has been easy and an old adage and an old criticism of the Flyers that they only hire within. The Stanley Cups haven't been here since the 70s. This hasn't led anywhere. Your greatest argument to support that is Peter Laviolette. He wasn't a true blue. He wasn't a Flyer. Yeah. So what's he going to bring to the table here in Philly? Well, he brought he brought a lot of pop, a lot of jam, a lot of zip, a lot of three-letter words, perfectly placed timeouts. But since then, the Flyers have also gone outside the Flyers circle. Dave Hackstall, not great. Alain Vigneault, didn't work out well. John Tortorella most recently, that fizzled out quick. So you've gone outside. You've gone outside to solve problems here. And that hasn't worked either. The only thing that I like about Rick Tocchet being a former Flyer is that I know I've followed his entire career. And I feel like I would know him more so than anybody else. The Flyers have hired the no-name guys, the guys outside, but it hasn't worked. Now they're bringing in a guy, and to go back to my point yesterday, for the people that didn't hear it, the best thing about this isn't just the fact that he's a coach of the year. It's not just the fact that he's coached a 50-win team. It's not that. It's the communication in any relationship is the biggest part. And this guy has a tremendous relationship with Keith Jones. He's got a good relationship with Danny Briere. And he is just enough of, I believe, the John Tortorella fiery attitude when you need to be fiery, but also the ability to teach and coach without making it seem like you just want to prove a point and want to be over dramatic, possibly. That, to me, is going to be the biggest difference between the John Tortorella era of a team that, yes, is still rebuilding, and this now Rick Tocchet era of the Philadelphia Flyers that is now really, aside from just acquiring the pieces, is going to start to turn the corner. If not for the draft resources that they have over the next, 2-3 years, and the cap availability after this year. He's an experienced head coach. He understands certainly where things got blurry last year with John Tortorella, the blurriness isn't going to happen. I can guarantee that, because the lines of communication with the front office are very much open. I don't even think they have a door to close. That's how open I think they are. I don't want to hear, it's so easy and surface level to just say, oh, here another retread. Oh, we go back to the well of old Flyers. Yeah, but if you really think about it, this is go beyond just the surface, just dig a little bit deeper. And you see a guy who has had some success in the NHL. You see a guy who can coach, and you see a guy who has a great relationship with his front office. So for me, and yeah, if you do want to include him as a player, damn, what a player he was. Not the Flyers Hall of Fame for nothing. Not an all-star for nothing. Not a guy that could literally do anything you needed to do on the ice. Needed to be a goon for a minute, he could be the goon. Needed him to score a goal, score the goal. Needed him to set up a game-winning goal, set up a game-winning goal and an assist. Like, literally, that's what he brought to the table, a tenacity. He's got that mentality hasn't changed for Rick Tocchet. That mentality doesn't leave these athletes. Never does. They always, in their minds, they always stay a professional athlete. That's how they think. And I absolutely see him through his other stops, whether it be Tampa or Vancouver, for instance. I've always seen him as a guy that kept that same type of mentality. When he was, I'll also tell you a story about when he was in Tampa. I think he took over for Barry Melrose. I think that was he took over for Barry Melrose after Barry Melrose fizzled out in his return to coaching with Tampa. I remember hearing a story about Tocchet going into he was teaching guys how to go into a corner for a puck. And then at one point he just went, and this is his first time ever coaching. And he just went, no, God, this is how you do it. And he went in on some rookie and just leveled him. I don't think Rick Tocchet's now doing that. So I think they do evolve, but the mentality doesn't change. So I look forward to hearing what he has to say. As far as what I teased earlier with, the one thing I really want to hear is, the step in the right direction, the step in growth. And we're not there, but we're getting closer. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear the over promises of, oh no, we got this. This is it. I'm here now. We're going to turn things around. And he's too smart for that, so I don't expect that at all. What I expect to hear, and quite frankly, yes, I'm rooting to hear. I want to hear is we took a big step forward. I want to hear that from Danny Briere and Keith Jones, and then I want to hear how Rick Tocchet is going to illustrate that point as the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. So I don't want to hear these promises of this is the year we turn it around. No, I want to hear how he's going to coach these players. I want to hear how he's going to teach these players. And I want to know how the Flyers and what they have right now, I want to hear, and the future, to use this word, assets that they're about to acquire, how they are going to get better under Rick Tocchet. And I certainly don't think I'm going to hear, I am not interested in learning how to coach a team like this. John Tortorella's exit line, essentially. So that's what I feel right now, that the Flyers are in very good hands, especially for the position that they're in right now as an organization. I feel great about Keith Jones. I feel great about Danny Briere. And I feel great about Rick Tocchet being here as the next head coach of the Flyers. That's where I'm at with it. Your Phillies off yesterday. Enjoyed a poker tournament courtesy of Aaron Nola and his charity. They're back at it tonight, starting that 3-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. There's a couple of things that I've looked at from the Phillies that make me feel like things could be a little bit different. The number one thing that I have seen is maybe the most obvious is that they have changed their cleanup hitter. The cleanup hitter is obviously Kyle Schwarber. Although it has not worked out to the benefit that the Phillies were going for with, oh, wow, look at how many fastballs Bryce Harper's crushing right now. Well, here's the thing. Bryce Harper's getting fastballs. He's missing fastballs. So he's getting the fastballs that he's supposed to get when batting in front of Kyle Schwarber. He is just missing these pitches. I don't think he's hurt. I do think the man could use a break. But it has worked in the idea that you have gotten Bryce Harper fastballs. The other part of this, it also revolves around Kyle Schwarber, is the contract year. I would love to see him back here. And I think that John Middleton is going to offer him a rather substantial deal to keep him here in Philadelphia. I love him as a cleanup hitter. I love Bryson Stott as a leadoff hitter. It's the biggest change that the Phillies have undergone this season, and I want them to give this time. Since you have done it, you won 5 series in a row. You lost your most recent. It's worked well, and I want to see them continue to do that. I don't want to see them abandon it. As far as the lineup is constructed right now, I have no issue with what Dave Dombrowski and Rob Thompson have put together on the baseball field as far as the starting lineup goes. The lineup is always going to be streaky, however. But knowing that Kyle Schwarber could be there to drive in runs at the cleanup spot is a very comforting thing. The fact that he's got some table setters, the fact that Trey Turner has really turned it on over the last month of the season has been incredible, and I want to see him continue riding that hot streak. He pointed it out the other day in Tampa when they were playing that series in Tampa and during the 6-game road trip. He said that Kevin Long and him got together and just talked about doing less. Rob Thompson told him basically, do less. I don't need you to hit home runs. They're going to come. You're going to have the accidents that are home runs, but don't push for them. That has really changed the mentality of Trey Turner. So as crazy as it might seem, what I used to be worried about with this team, as of right now, I'm not concerned with. I'm concerned when the postseason rolls around, unless they all of a sudden become the best offense in all of baseball, which I don't see happening. But the offense, any offense in baseball is going to have the highs and the lows. That's baseball. All right. To use the old Cliff Lee line, that's baseball. That's baseball. But I'm not as concerned because I know the lineup is constructed in the best way possible to have sustained success. My biggest concern with this team is the money that's being thrown at their starting pitching and where it's at right now. Zach Wheeler, not worried. Jesus Luzardo, not worried. Christopher Sanchez, not worried. Ranger Suarez, a little worried. Not that that's big money. Aaron Nola, extremely concerned. Taijuan Walker, hey, you know what? Is it an expensive bullpen arm? Yes, but similar to the lineup, is the bullpen in the best possible place it could be with Taijuan Walker in it? Yeah, I think so. I have a huge concern with Aaron Nola because he just looks lost. And I don't like the manager continuously making excuses for him. And to go back to something I know I say a lot, but I'll say it again. It comes down to solving a problem. And the Phillies absolutely have an Aaron Nola problem. And the Phillies also have a managerial problem if Rob Thompson won't acknowledge the Aaron Nola problem, because the first step to solving any problem is acknowledging the problem. I don't want to hear that there weren't pristine weather conditions for Aaron Nola to pitch. Yeah, were they pristine? No, they weren't pristine. They were pretty bad. I don't care. Both sides had to pitch in it. Aaron Nola couldn't figure it out. He had his catcher. He had run support. Blew it. I don't want to hear it. So what are the Phillies to do with him? The only way I see him crawling out of anything is if they shut him down. To me, with the weather getting nicer, they should have done this a while ago. Things started to turn around when they had JT Realmuto catching him. And then for whatever dumb reason, they didn't have JT Realmuto catching him in game 1 of the Guardian series. I just need to hear it from Rob Thompson that he knows that this is a problem. I don't need to hear from Rob Thompson that, oh, well, Nola usually gets out of it. What if you watch the season? No, he hasn't. Well, he usually gets better as the game goes on. What are you saying? So, yes, the Phillies have an Aaron Nola problem, and with that, they have a Rob Thompson problem. The other thing I look at with this Phillies team is it's down the depth chart a wee bit, but I know Rafael Marchand is coming off a 2-hit game, but he don't look good, man. Not even a little bit. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it into a microphone, looking at that camera. For the people on the podcast, there is a camera I stare at. I miss Garrett Stubbs. He could certainly catch Nola better than Rafael Marchand. That's one thing. You need a bunt. He's got you. Who was it? My man Joe on Twitter, formerly ruined today. Just like, well, bunt, or what did he say? Stubbs wouldn't have been in that situation because Stubbs would have laid down a bunt. And my response to it. And oh, the vibes on that bunt. The vibes, Master General, whatever. I miss it. Look, the Budweiser the case on the head is great. The overalls are great. The tequila is great. All that's great. The Captain Morgan mustache is great. Personality is great. But, okay ball player. I don't think he'd be hitting, 150. Tell you that much. So maybe Nola's ERA is better. Maybe you got a couple of bunts when you need a bunt. But Rafael Marchand has not taken the ball and run with it. That's for damn sure in this opportunity that the Phillies gave him because of options. As I said, after game 1 of the doubleheader against the Cardinals, he was not DFA'd by the skin of his right pointer finger that just happened to make it to the bag in time before he was tagged as his helmet flopped off his head for the Phillies, then later score 2 runs in that inning and win in game 1 to support Jesus Luzardo's 7-inning, 1-run performance. I am not comfortable with Rafael Marchand. I'd love to see him turn the corner. I'd love to see him maybe get a couple more opportunities. Maybe JT Realmuto is a DH on a day where you want to give Schwarbs the day off. I don't know. But he has not taken full advantage of this at all. And then also, as I've said, Justin Crawford did his first AAA home run yesterday, so good for him. Andrew Painter, I think he gave you 4 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs yesterday in Syracuse, I think they pitched. Yeah, Andrew Painter got another start yesterday. So, hey, I look forward to all that coming together for the Phils. 3-game series, Pirates. Let's see what they got. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. And don't forget about the Game Time Picks feature that filters out all the fluff. It gets right down to it. The best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. Also, all-in pricing feature, you toggle that, and you can see exactly what you're paying before you check out. You can also view your seats' vantage point before you check out on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase. How about PHL Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's phlsportsnation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine Friday morning. A little foggy out there. Sean Kilrain, good morning. Jason A., good morning, Farzy and company. Who out of the last remaining teams in the NBA do you think will make the finals? The Denver Nuggets just had a clutch Game 6 win last night on the other team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. SGA had foul trouble. 4 fouls in the first half. So he sat. That hurt him. I do like OKC. I do like OKC. And the Knicks are playing some great basketball right now. I know Jaylen Brown just lifted the Celtics without Jason Tatum, but I hate to say it, but I do like the Knicks. Did I mention I hate to say that? Because I hate to say it. That's what I'm looking at right now. They're going back for Game 7 to OKC. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? Eagles have now officially signed 7 of the 10 players they drafted in 2025. Only Jahad Campbell, Drew Makuba, and Cameron Williams remain unsigned. Well, there you go. Alan Senjic. Rich Eisen isn't a clickbaiter. So his takes are always well thought. I agree. I like Rich Eisen for that reason as well. I just feel like he's very matter of fact about it. He's the type of guy that is like, I've been putting some numbers together and been putting some thoughts together, and this is how I feel. But he puts it out there. He's not like, let me tell you how you need to feel about what I'm. No, he's not like that, which I appreciate. Samuel, what's going on? Finding ways to win gets you blown out. Just ask the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. Samuel, that's another way to put that. Absolutely. Chipsy, wow, no back-to-back home games. Yeah. Kind of crazy. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Twiz, what's up, Twiz? 22nd most traveled team, though, Farzy, and we only play one team coming off the bye, and we are coming off a mini bye schedule. It's not that bad. I guess. Hopefully, but the 22nd most traveled team, that's interesting. Thank you, Twiz. Sean Gillespie, hopefully the Eagles have learned how to play in the Tampa Heat. Yeah. Twiz, Negadelphia, teams got to face us. Remember that. No, that's the most comforting thing, Twiz, to your point, and this is forget about Negadelphia. This might be overly optimistic Adelphia. Is the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFL. That's the most comforting thing. So that's not negative. That's not negative. So let's the question then, Twiz. Let me ask you this. I don't see the Eagles going 14-3 again. I'd love for them to do it, but that's going to be hard. I also don't see the Eagles winning 10 games in a row this season. So are we talking 12-5? Because 12-5 is down here is pretty damn good. I see that as being more likely than a 14-3 season that features a 10-game winning streak. But who knows? Maybe the Eagles are as historically good as I thought they were last year, where it was, oh, things aren't going well. Here you go, Saquon, touchdown. Second half adjustments, touchdown. Maybe that's where we're at. Philly Magic 365. Makuba will be the league leader in picks. Him and Campbell go 1-2 for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Cooper wins Defensive Player of the Year. There you go. And they go 14-3 and make the whole league look like fools. Philly Magic, I hope that's right. I did watch, by the way, on that note with Cooper DeJean, I did watch Cooper DeJean's breakdown of the Super Bowl and his pick six. There's a moment that he describes where Patrick Mahomes is rolling to his side and he looks into the backfield and sees Patrick Mahomes' eyes. And Patrick Mahomes' eyes, he knew, did not see him. And he goes, you kind of have this, how did he describe it? He described it something along the lines of, you kind of have this jolt of energy and adrenaline when you realize, oh, this is going to come to me, even before he throws it. And even before he throws it, and the ball's, even before he throws it, he goes, oh, you get this jolt of energy and adrenaline, and you know this could be a big moment. And then when he throws it, he realizes, oh, this is coming right to me. Before he even catches it, he realizes that he could take it to the house. He said, and he's right. I mean, you go back and you think of the play, Patrick Mahomes is rolling to his right. From Cooper DeJean's angle, that's the opposite direction he's going. Everyone else is going to now Cooper DeJean's left. The play is going to Cooper DeJean's right, so he has the ability to get a number of steps on guys and get to the outside. And then he credits Moro Ojomo for a block at the goal line that got him into the end zone. But, man, just reliving that moment is pretty awesome. Al, what's going on? Schedule isn't that bad, and it's only May, so relax. Injuries will happen. What are we talking about? Okay, new offensive coordinator will be the biggest question mark. If he delivers, the season will be fun. Okay, I mean, that's the question then. To me, it's the schedule. It's the only thing that I don't like. It's the only thing I don't like. Sidney Brown will be the other starter next to Reed Blankenship, says Jason A. Okay. I don't think they're taking Makuba to back up Sidney Brown. I'm going to put it to you like that. Hey, but whoever's the best plays. I got no skin in the game as far as that goes. Every year teams are different. Everyone is a threat until you play them. Yep, absolutely. Sure. Sixers messing up with the third pick. Why? Why are they messing up? Habib 215. Why are they messing up? Biggest threat is getting too cute, pound the rock, force teams. See, okay, all right. I don't see Twiz with. If it was any other quarterback, I'd be worried about it. But I'm not worried about it because it's Jalen Hurts. And Jalen is always going to do what is best for the team. By the way, I asked in my travels yesterday, just looking for more info on the Eagles' schedule and all that stuff, I came across the men's health piece with Jalen Hurts, where he's talking about what he eats and all that. Well, they have it all set up. I don't know if you guys seen this yet. This came out like weeks ago, but they have it set up where he walks into the set, and they got a chalkboard up with, the X's and O's and the arrows and everything. And he goes to sit down, but he looks at the chalkboard, which is a prop, is all it is. And he goes, oh, no. And he walks up to the chalkboard, and he's erasing stuff. He's like, you guys don't have anybody covered here on the outside. Come on. You got to. And then he starts correcting the prop, which was probably drawn up by somebody who probably not a football fan. Just like, oh, this looks good. This looks like a football play. And then he went over to it. He was like, no, you got to have the guy here and this here. And I just thought that was hilarious. I thought that was the most Jalen Hurts thing he could have done. Also, he enjoys his salmon. He enjoys his the chicken, and he enjoys his beef. The three main staples of a protein diet. He enjoys those. Also, I found out that Jeremiah Washburn, I think he said, I think his wife bakes cookies for the defensive line. And every once in a while, he gets his own bag of cookies. And he says every once in a while, he indulges. I did not know that. Way to go, Mrs. Washburn. Hardcore for all. What's going on? Good morning, Mark. The question is, can you replace Kyle's pop with someone who can play left field every day? A bunch of money for a DH is not always a wise move. Yeah, but if he's getting you 40, 45 home runs, then I'm in. Brian Pumper, what's going on? Same dudes who cried about passing on Tatum wants to pass on Ace. The process cooked the Twitter scouts. Brian, for the record, I don't want to pass on Ace. I want Ace to stick around for as long as possible. I want him to be here. My takeaway from the Sixers getting the third overall pick was that they did more. They're about to do more in a half season of a total tank than they did in 3+ years of the process. That's if they take Ace Bailey at number 3. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars, SkyMotorCars.com. Go ahead, say good morning.
Good morning.
There you go. Show the cast. How's it go? See, it's all signed. Mommy and Daddy signed it at the top. Daddy signed it at the very top. Anyway, how you feeling, sweetheart? Good. All right, good. Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motor Cars, SkyMotorCars.com. 10:30 today. Press conference. Rick Tocchet gets introduced. Phillies today start their 6:45. They start the 3-game series against the Pirates. Suarez against Hinley today. Wheeler against Modzelinski, and then Sanchez versus Skeens on Sunday. Start time 6:45, 6:05, 1:35. And then the Phillies have a 7-game road trip against the terrible Rockies and the Oakland Athletics, who just got blown out like 19-2 last night by the LA Dodgers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Coming up, you got Birds 365 at 8 o'clock. So don't miss that. And then also, if you want to digest a little bit later, more Eagles coverage. Me, Harry Mays, Jason Bertidas got you covered for Locked On Eagle Squad podcast coming up around 8:20, 8:30. We'll do our live taping of that as well. There we go. Oh, say hi, Brandon. Brandon's saying hi there at the bottom. Hi, Brandon. Oh, heartwarming, right? There you go. Say hi. There you go. Have a wonderful weekend. If I don't see you guys, I'll be back with you Monday. If not, I'll see you tonight on Locked On Phillies postcast. Yes, we are.
Why do you call it
Sunday? It's a colloquialism that you will learn probably when you're hopefully you won't have hopefully you have more of mommy's dialect than your father's. Did you just wipe your face on my arm?
No,
I think you just did. Okay. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody. If I don't see you, I will be on Locked On Phillies postcast tonight on the Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. See you then.